This video will walk you through a resource here in Illinois for work-based learning, which is the Illinois Work-Based Learning Innovation Network, or IWIN. And IWIN has its resources in multiple formats. So what I'm going to walk you through here is the IWIN Resource Hub. This network also meets in monthly or bi-monthly communities of practice where presenters from across the state or other national models come in and they present to stakeholders in work-based learning about their innovative model or their best practices or their learnings within work-based learning. And so really what this network was designed to do was to highlight and explore innovative models for work-based learning. We had a current focus and still continue to talk about virtual opportunities. The IWIN was launched back in October of 2020 when we all kind of took a moment and said, what does this look like now to offer high quality work-based learning in a virtual space? IWIN has continued to evolve, and while we still discuss virtual opportunities, we also discuss hybrid and fully in-person opportunities as well in those innovative models. A lot of what we do is those communities connections and how we're thinking about engaging in conversations to create sustainable, high-quality models that are providing broader and more equitable access to work-based learning, especially when we're thinking about our Black and Latinx students and other underrepresented populations, and how we're supporting them to build social capital within our communities. As you might have seen through the Advancing Equity Through Work-Based Learning presentation, and the recording is here on the IWIN site if you haven't yet, those connections to social capital and to industry professionals really makes a big difference in how students see themselves accessing careers and how students see themselves and their skills really providing value in those spaces and determining if that's something for them and also how they get there. One of the best parts about IWIN is really where those connections are being built among communities. So as we have presenters sharing out, communities can ask questions and gather resources from them. But there's also a lot of connections that happen just within the chat when we're doing a Zoom community of practice, or even conversations that are happening in breakout rooms or other activities that we have. A lot of communities have really connected with each other through IWIN, and they have made those connections and been able to dive in deeply on the weeds to better inform their work-based learning experiences. We also utilize IWIN as we think about needs for state policy changes or support systems. Is there a common thing that communities are grappling with that the state could support either through one of their systems or through a change in policy to really make sure that we can continue to provide those sustainable, high quality models? And we're not always trying to necessarily recreate the wheel or scramble for resources each year, but can really create work-based learning experiences that become embedded as part of a student's college and career pathway. And so you are very much welcome to subscribe to the newsletter for IWIN. There is a button here for you to do that. This would get you in communications about any new resources that are released. It would also provide access to those registration links as we have our communities of practice. So it's a great opportunity to get connected to what's happening across the state and to kind of hear those state frameworks, hear those community models, but to also then get connected to other communities as you would join our IWIN events. And so there's also an overview here for you to download. It's a one-pager if that's something you wanted to also share with your colleagues and spread the word about IWIN to give a little quick blip about it. But what I'm going to spend some time here doing is walking through the actual resource hub. So as we engage in those communities of practice, we always record those and link our presentations. And so the site shifts around a little bit, kind of depending if there's a new resource or other components that are being uploaded that we want to make sure to highlight at the top. Like for example, we had a health sciences work-based learning continuum community of practice where we reviewed all the different components of the work-based learning continuum: career exploration, team-based challenges, career development experiences, with a focus on the health sciences sector. And so that was our most recent event. So that's going to be up here at the top. But you can also see that there's a lot of other recordings and materials on here. So in each of these drop downs, you can access the recording, and then any sort of presentation or other resources are always going to be linked within here. And so those where the IWIN events are. Again, those registration links are included in our newsletter, which goes out every month or two, kind of depending on the events that are happening and resources being released. But we'll always put these up here as soon as we can if you were to miss one of those events and did want to access that content. We also have some targeted resources in here. So team-based challenges, as you might be grappling with what that looks like, how to create it in your space, or where to even start, we have a few different resources for you here. So one of them is a template. It's by no means a required template, but it is here for you to start thinking through and designing what a team-based challenge might look like in your space. And so again, putting that out here, what's your title? What kind of problem would you investigate? And then breaking down that whole project outline. What will that look like day by day or week by week? But in addition to that, we have a lot of different actual models that are organized by the endorsement areas. So you can see, as an example here, in agriculture, food, and natural resources, we have actually built out. So we've taken that template that I just showed you, and then a community. So this one here talked about a fertilizer challenge and what that looked like for them to build that out, what problem they investigated. And then they also really built out here what the timeline of engagement for that looked like. So there's those types of models that are really built out in detail. There's also ideas for inspiration. So within each endorsement area, just listing maybe 5 or 6 kind of ideas here to start thinking through, okay, maybe I already have some pieces like this, or maybe this can kickstart me thinking, or it might even help me think about a partner that I would want to engage in as a mentor for this team-based challenge, then connect students with. So that's a very kind of specific resource that's on the iWin Hub to directly support team-based challenges. And again, these are all drop downs. So for the different endorsement areas, you can see the ideas for inspiration for each one, and then those unique templates as well that are all built out. We always love, again, a lot of what is on the iWin Resource Hub is submitted and created by communities. And so if you do have a team-based challenge that you would like to submit, you can download the team-based challenge and you can submit it either through the iWin site. Right here, there's an opportunity to upload those files and then send that right in. Anything that then is received is uploaded onto the site. It's shared out and highlighted within our iWin newsletter, so folks know that there is a new resource available, and always made, broadly available to support other communities. There's also work-based learning fundamentals in here. So there's a lot of different moving pieces within the state that are interconnected with work-based learning. So recommended technical and essential employability competencies, how those can be defined and highlighted throughout a work-based learning experience. The Career Pathways Dictionary, it really defines those work-based learning experiences on the continuum. So that's a great resource to look at to see how Illinois is defining things like career exploration, career development experiences, team-based challenges. And there's a couple of resources here for those career development experiences. So the toolkit here is a rather large document, but if you click on this link, it'll actually take you to the website. So you can download the whole toolkit, or you can actually just go by each section of the toolkit. So the real value here is that this toolkit will walk you to and through the whole experience of offering a career development experience. So going just from getting started all the way to wrapping up that experience, what that looks like during. And so you can download the separate sections if you wanted to just look at one section. But then within each of those tabs, there's kind of some quick highlights from what's going to be in the actual document. And then at the bottom of each of those tabs are these online resources. So there's different templates here that are all in Microsoft Word format. So you can download those and edit them however you need to. But all kinds of pieces here as you would click in each drop down, right? Some different community models and resources, and also those customized templates from the Career Development Experience Toolkit. Within that as well, there's also the Career Development Experience Toolkit companion piece, which is really thinking about, those organizations and stakeholders outside of a traditional high school setting. The toolkit is universally applicable to any setting. The companion piece just dives in deeper, thinking about workforce development organizations, community-based organizations, and alternative high schools who might be offering a career development experience, and really thinking about how to serve those youth more inclusively as they're not in that necessarily traditional high school setting. You can also see here, we've put in from the Illinois State Board of Education, their work-based learning manual. So again, as you're implementing pieces within your space, if you are kind of in that traditional high school setting and thinking through how does this align to career and technical education and the work-based learning components of that, there's a lot of guidance in here as well, but it is a living document, so any feedback is very welcome on that. We also have sought to provide some different virtual resources and models and activities. So you can click through here, again, each component of the work-based learning continuum, and you'll be taken to a list of different resources that we've curated, and get a quick kind of description of those and what it is, and then a link to that resource. And so again, if you have any virtual resources or models or activities that you do for any component along this continuum, please utilize this space up here that was showed earlier to upload those files, provide a little bit of information, and we will add that to that continuum to further support communities across the state. We also will put in here different related webinars. So ones that don't necessarily occur through an IWIN community of practice, but our team here at Ed Systems or other organizations across the state who are offering these types of webinars, even as we see some really great national webinar models that are aligned to our state definitions here in Illinois, we will put those pieces in here so you can also see those webinars in addition to the IWIN communities of practice. We have blog posts as well. So as we think about, different components of releasing a resource, or, even thinking about how this relates to other strategic plans or other work throughout the state, even like designing experiences along the continuum. We had a great kind of summer opportunity where small groups came together and thought through their design of work-based learning. We had our high school intern from the 2021 school year actually talk about their experience having a networking event in person fully, and then this last year, their senior year of high school, where they had to do that event fully virtually, and talking about the pros and cons of that. So all kinds of different additional pieces to read, and then just some information here about Ed Systems at the bottom. But the resource hub is constantly updated. It's really here as a resource, and to just go in, start looking through the different templates and models and recordings. And the goal really to inspire the work that you're doing and think about how those models, how those resources can be modified and adjusted to meet your unique context and meet the needs of the students and individuals and stakeholders and partners that you're working with. So we really hope that this is a valuable resource for you, and would love to hear of other resources that you would like to see on the IWIN Resource Hub, and always love to see if you have any resources or models that you would like to submit to the Resource Hub. Would love to see those.